We were trained to believe Chinese cars were disposable, something you bought when you couldn't afford better. Cheap plastics, questionable reliability, a temporary solution until you could upgrade to something German, Japanese, or American. They were never meant to be admired, never meant to be luxurious, and definitely never meant to sit in the same sentence as Mercedes, BMW, or Range Rover. But what if that belief wasn't just outdated? What if it was completely wrong? Because while legacy brands were busy protecting heritage, arguing about subscriptions, and redesigning the same grille for the 8th time, China stopped talking. It stopped asking for validation, and instead, it quietly rebuilt the luxury SUV from the ground up. Today, I'm showing you a vehicle that doesn't just compete with luxury giants, it exposes them. This is the Huawei AITO M9, and I'm warning you right now. Once you understand what this SUV offers, your definition of premium is never going back to what it used to be. This thing can drive itself without memorizing maps. It scans the world in real time. It has seats that feel better than first-class flights. It charges faster than most people finish a coffee. And the part that really hurts? It costs less than cars that offer half of this experience. I'm not exaggerating. Today, you're looking at the SUV that explains why the global luxury car hierarchy is quietly collapsing. Buckle up. Let's start with the exterior, because this is where expectations begin to crack. Most large luxury SUVs try to look aggressive, big grille, sharp lines, fake toughness. The AITO M9 doesn't try, it just looks confident. It's massive, yes, longer than a BMW X7, but it's smooth, calm, and deliberate. No wasted shapes, no forced drama. The proportions are clean, the stance is planted. It looks expensive without screaming for attention. Then you notice something odd, the mirrors. They're not really mirrors, they're cameras. High-definition digital camera stalks feeding live video to screens inside the cabin. And I know exactly what you're thinking. That's a gimmick. I said the same thing. Until night falls. These cameras don't just show you what's behind you, they enhance it. Rain, fog, pitch-black roads. The system boosts contrast and visibility in real time. Blind spots don't exist anymore. You don't squint, you don't guess, you see. And suddenly, gloss mirrors feel like rotary phones. Once you experience this, going back feels primitive. Now look at the front. This is where it gets unsettling. Huawei calls this design language Galaxy Light. These aren't headlights, they're intelligent projection units. Each one is basically a high-resolution projector. The SUV can project symbols, warnings, and animations onto the road itself. A pedestrian crossing? The car projects a visible crosswalk on the asphalt. Waiting for someone outside a building? It can project visuals onto a wall. Your headlights are communicating with the environment. My car barely communicates with me. Walk toward it and the lights animate. The vehicle recognizes you. It doesn't wake up, it responds. And above the windshields, that raised module you can't ignore, that's not decoration, that's a 192-line LiDAR scanner. Real three-dimensional vision. The car isn't guessing what's ahead, it's scanning depth, distance, and movement in real time. Yes, it looks a bit awkward, but once you realize what it enables, you stop caring how it looks. Move around to the rear, and this is where the SUV flex really happens. Most modern SUVs sacrifice space for style. Sloping roofs, shrinking cargo areas, rear passengers paying the price for sporty design. The M9 refuses to do that. The roofline stays tall, the proportions stay honest. You get real headroom, real cargo space, real usability. The full-width taillight bar, known as the Star River design, stretches across the entire rear. Inside, thousands of microcrystal elements scatter the light. When it turns on, it doesn't glow, it sparkles, like crushed diamonds. It looks unapologetically premium. If this had a Berman badge on it, nobody would question a six-figure price tag. Open the hood. No engine, obviously, but there is a frunk, large enough for luggage, groceries, or a carry-on. Practical, yes, but the real story is underneath. Dual motors powered by Huawei's Drive 1 platform, nearly 530 horsepower, instant torque, zero hesitation. 0 to 60 happens in under 4 seconds in a full-size luxury SUV. You could embarrass sports cars while your family is debating dinner plans in the back. That's not performance, that's disrespect. Now let's talk about the battery. A massive 100 kilowatt-hour pack supplied by CATL. The range rating crosses 700 kilometers on China's cycle. Even after translating that to stricter real-world standards, you're still looking at well over 400 miles. That alone beats most luxury EVs currently on sale. But range isn't the headline, charging is. This runs on an 800-volt silicon carbide architecture. You can add roughly 200 kilometers of range in about 5 minutes. 5. That's not charging, that's refueling. Bathroom break, coffee, back on the road. Meanwhile, much of the world is still planning road trips around chargers like it's 2015. Open the door. This is where the illusion fully collapses, because this doesn't feel good for the price, it feels expensive, period. Real Nappa leather, soft touch surfaces everywhere, open pore wood that actually feels like wood, microfiber headliner, crystal light control knobs that feel cold and solid in your fingers. Everything you touch feels intentional, heavy, dampened, refined. No squeaks, no hollow plastics, no excuses. The dashboard runs Harmony OS, and it's fast. No lag, no stutter. You can resize windows, multitask, drag apps around like a tablet. If you use a Huawei phone, the integration is seamless. Tap your phone and the car becomes an extension of it. But even without the ecosystem, the interface stands on its own. Clean, logical, designed by people who actually use technology. In front of you, a digital instrument cluster. In the center, a massive touchscreen, and on both sides, dedicated screens for the digital mirrors. You don't dig through menus to see essential information. Everything is exactly where it should be. This feels engineered, not marketing-driven. But the driver's seat isn't the highlight, the passenger seat is. Huawei calls it the queen seat. One button, zero gravity mode. The seat reclines, your legs lift, pressure disappears, blood circulation improves, and then the massage starts. Not the weak vibrations most cars call massage, real rollers, deep pressure, adjustable intensity, heating, ventilation. This is the kind of seat that makes long trips disappear. And the car encourages rest. There's a nap mode. Press one button and the windows dim, the lighting softens, the climate control switches to a gentle breeze, and calming sounds fill the cabin. This isn't a feature, it's an experience, an isolation chamber on wheels. Look up. This is where it stops being fair. A massive cinema screen drops down from the roof. Not a tablet, a proper high-definition display. Bright enough for daylight, sharp enough to forget you're in a vehicle. Movies, games, video calls, all from the back seat of an SUV. The sound system? Huawei sounds superior. 25 speakers, over 2,000 watts, speakers built into the headrests, spatial audio that wraps around you. Watch a movie in here and suddenly your living room feels outdated. Compare this to so-called premium audio systems in many luxury SUVs, and the gap is embarrassing. Between the seats is a refrigerator, not a cooler, a real compressor fridge, cold enough to freeze, warm enough to keep food hot, drinks, ice cream, takeout. Someone actually thought about real life. Now let's talk about the thing legacy automakers don't want you to focus on, self-driving. Because this is different. The AITO M9 doesn't rely on preloaded high-definition maps. It doesn't need to memorize roads. It sees the world in real time using LiDAR, cameras, and radar. It understands lanes, pedestrians, construction zones, and obstacles dynamically. It can navigate from parking spot to parking spot without human input. This isn't a demo. This isn't a promise. It's happening now. And because this is a real SUV, practicality matters. The cargo area is massive, seats fold flat. Camping? Easy. Furniture? No problem. Grocery runs? Effortless. There are power outlets, metal tie-down hooks. Even the trunk carpeting feels premium. Luxury and utility together, not one or the other. Now we get to the number that makes people uncomfortable. Price. Because everything you've seen screams 6 figures. If this wore a German badge, it would be unobtainable. If it came from a startup, it would be called aspirational. But it doesn't. The Huawei AITO M9 starts around the equivalent of $40-something thousand. Fully loaded, around the mid-50s. Less than many mid-spec SUVs. Less than a base Model Y. For a vehicle that drives itself, charges in minutes, massages you, and turns into a cinema. This isn't competition, this is a cheat code. So here's the uncomfortable question. Be honest, if this SUV launched in your country tomorrow at this price, would you still buy a BMW, a Mercedes, or a Range Rover? Or would you quietly switch sides? Because the truth is simple, the Chinese luxury SUV isn't coming, it's already here, and it's better.
If this video challenged what you thought you knew, hit the like button. Subscribe to Autiv Cars, because what's coming next isn't just interesting, it's going to scare the industry even more.